Me? For real? Oh. You can call from the Bahamas using Rev Boy's prepaid home phone service and prepaid chat cards for much less.
Hey girl, are you ready?
You get free unlimited on-island calls, voicemail, and no internet service or ID is required.
Hello?
Rev Boy's prepaid home phone service and prepaid chat cards.
Hey, vai bien.
Staying in touch never sounded so good.
Good evening, Bahamas, and thanks for joining us at MB12. Coming up tonight in news, nearly 300 new jobs to come on stream as Atlantis casino upgrades are rolled out. $60 million to get government's housing program off the ground. The Bahamas Electricity Corporation to restructure its reconnection program after recording losses. Former MP Sidney Cawley speaks out for the first time on the aftermath of the May Iguana tragedy. We have those stories and much more coming up tonight. I'm Christina McNeil, and your MB12 starts right now. Joining us. The country's largest resort will add 250 new jobs to the Bahamian economy over the next 3 months. In the face of global competition, Atlantis is working to maintain its edge by opening new facilities each year. This year, it's a multi-million-dollar upgrade to its casino, which will boost Atlantis' headcount. And if gaming regulations are approved, the resort's president and managing director says they hope to introduce technologically advanced in-play betting. Vonique Toot reports.
As debate rages on over whether Bahamians should be allowed to gamble in casinos, Atlantis' managing director has revealed the resort will upgrade its casino to the tune of $20 million. George Marcantonis said today that project will create 250 jobs this year.
The reason we're going to do it is to add yet another amenity to draw people to the property, or even if not to draw them, to make sure that their experience is as broad and as rounded as it can possibly be. Those items that I just mentioned to you, between them, add about 250 new jobs, which, as I said, will all occur between June and September this year. And at the same, well, any new jobs is great jobs.
That's right.
Marcantonis says Atlantis currently employs 7,700 people and spends around $250 million a year on salaries and wages. Once those new jobs come on stream, the resort will have nearly 8,000 workers. He made it clear Atlantis is not expanding its casino, which is 60,000 square feet, just its amenities, like a new state-of-the-art racing sports book.
This sports book, you'd say, well, what is different about a sports book? Well, this sports book will be very technically advanced. And you will see these kinds of facilities only at the Venetian in Las Vegas, the M Casino, the Hard Rock, many screens. Hopefully, if our gaming regulations are approved in one format or another, they will allow our guests to do what's called in-play betting.
Essentially, how it works is guests can bet on what happens next in a game they're watching.
For the younger folks who are walking around with all of these eye things, their adrenaline is at the point where they would like to bet that the guy is going to kick left or he's going to kick right in the very next 5 seconds. And if that's what the new generations want, we'll be happy to capitalize on that investment.
That $20 million price tag also covers state-of-the-art restaurant Olives by celebrity chef Todd English. It opens on July 8th. Right next to it will be state-of-the-art bar The Moon Club, which opens 1 week earlier. The resort is also adding a new poker room. Now, here's where those 250 jobs come in.
Expanding all of the amenities in the casino, and as we spread through to the infrastructure items. For instance, you might say, well, how do you get to 250? Well, you can open a 20-hour restaurant. Somebody has to clean it. Forget about the servers that have to serve the food, the runners, the cooks, the management team. But you have to have people who come when it's closed to clean it. You have to have management teams to oversee it. These are all positions and things that we're creating.
The casino upgrade comes as the resort's $25 million renovations on its iconic Royal Towers wind down. Mark Antonis says one of the towers is complete and the second should be done by October. Atlantis will redo its lavish Cove property, which opened in 2007, next year. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
Well, a $10 million memorandum of understanding signed between the Ministry of Housing and the National Insurance Board this afternoon, which includes funds for the construction of more than 120 homes throughout the Bahamas. This exercise officially kicks off the Christie administration's housing program. Nikia DeVoe has the details.
Construction is expected to begin in the next 30 days on homes throughout several of the islands of the Bahamas. Housing Minister Kenred Dorset said not only does this program provide homes for many Bahamians, it will also provide hundreds of jobs. The 12-month build-out will take place on New Providence, Grand Bahama, Abaco, and San Salvador. $10 million will go toward the first stage of this administration's housing program. After the first 120 homes are complete, the ministry will receive $2.5 million every quarter to build additional homes.
It will provide us with an opportunity to build in excess of 120 homes in subdivisions where we already have infrastructure. Therefore, all of the monies will be used for the construction of homes, which will enable us to turn those homes into mortgages for the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation in a very timely manner. This begins also a part of the government's efforts to ensure that we create more jobs. During the years of 2002 to 2007, in excess of 8,000 to 10,000 jobs were created simply by the government's housing program.
During the signing at NIB this afternoon, Dorset said the arrangement between Housing, NIB, the Ministry of Finance, and the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation is a historic one. The MOU calls for a project manager to oversee the entire build-out process,
which we hope will lend to certain efficiencies and, more importantly, ensure that the historic challenge of shoddy workmanship in the housing program is arrested. In addition to that, we are engaging a financial advisor who will report to all parties to the MOU to ensure that at all times we understand exactly how the monies are being disbursed and used.
NIB will be repaid by the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation. At last report, 600 Bahamians applied for government housing. BMC Chairman Alex Storr said the housing program will satisfy some of the demand for homes and assist the corporation in fulfilling its mandate.
We have been inundated with people who are looking for government housing. This helps us to provide housing for those that are looking for it, and to provide the funding to make sure that the housing program continues. Because I'm sure, as you would know, under the previous PLP administration, we were way above all the rest in terms of our housing program. So we want to return to that stature.
Dorset says he expects the construction of the more than 120 homes to be complete by the summer of 2014. Reporting for NB12, I'm Nikia DeVoe.
The former F&M administration's reconnection and payment plan was abused by customers and ultimately had a negative impact on the Bahamas Electrical Corporation, according to BEC Executive Chairman Leslie Miller. In an effort to recover millions of dollars in arrears and reconnect thousands of Bahamian households, the corporation is launching a new program. Celeste Nixon has the details in this report.
Miller said the payment plan, which was intended to bring relief and generate revenue from delinquent customers, was a failure and only further hurt BEC and its customers. As a result, the corporation has restructured the initiative and launched a summer discount and reconnection program.
This program was initiated by the former government before the last general elections, where you had 3 years to pay a bill. That system has been totally abused, misused, and it's the board intention to scrap that, because that didn't help BEC a lot. In fact, it hurt BEC. Starting June 1st, 2013, the Bahamas Electricity Corporation launched an aggressive campaign that we believe will be beneficial to all customers of BEC.
Of the 65,000 residential customers, Miller said 90% have arrears more than 90 days past due and total some $26 million. Miller said BEC is seeking to reconnect 7,000 disconnected customers, 50% of which owe $2,000 or less. Miller explained if customers pay off their arrears by the end of June, they will receive a 10% discount on the portion of their bill that is 60 days past due or more.
So the corporation has come up with a two-tiered campaign. that we believe will assist. The first part of our campaign is meant to target those residential customers who presently owe BEC significant arrears. Between now and the end of June, we are encouraging those customers to come in and pay all of their arrears. Now, in exchange, in other words, if you come in and pay all of your arrears, BEC will then give you a 10% discount. You pay your you pay your arrears. If you was $2,000 in arrears, you pay your arrears, you'd get a 10% discount. And that would be reflected in your next bill.
Miller said those customers who have paid their bills on time will also be rewarded.
Any residential customer who pays their bill in its entirety and on time, that's the good customers now, for the month of June, July, and August, will be given a 2% discount.
Stating that BEC is willing to work with the Bahamian public, Miller encouraged all disconnected customers to come in and speak with customer service representatives. The chairman said this campaign is the first of many exercises he hopes will provide relief to customers and help improve the corporation's financial state. Reporting for MB12, I'm Celeste Nixon.
And responding to reports of an oil spill in the Clifton area near the BEC power plant, Miller today said a number of companies could be responsible for the residual fuel that is leaking into the ocean.
A study was done last year and it was determined that, in fact, much of the residuals that goes into Clifton, a lot of it does not emanate from BEC tanks. It is not even fuel that BEC uses. Some of the fuel that we discovered in that category of mixture that goes into the MC out there, BEC doesn't even use. So you could figure out the other culprits that are there. You got Shell, Esso, and Texaco right next door to us, eh?
Yesterday, video footage captured by a Stewart Cove dive instructor showed clumps of oil floating on the surface of the water near a dive operation in southwestern New Providence. Officials at Stewart Coves are extremely concerned about oil, which they believe seeped into the ocean from BEC's Clifton Pier power plant. They say they usually spot oil in the water once a month, but now it's becoming a weekly occurrence. The chairman says oil has been leaking into the waters around Clifton for decades, and BEC is now doing its part to mitigate the environmental impact of its power plant. Miller says they are seeking to construct a containment wall to remedy the situation. However, the other plants in the area also need to do their part.
It's called a containment wall, and that wall will stop any residual fuel from going out into the seabed from our premises. Now, that's not going to stop the rest of the people out there. In other words, we will protect our interests going from our boundary, going from east to west. Now, the other three that are out there, if they would work with us in this effort, perhaps that containment wall should be straight along that western corridor there, almost abutting Commonwealth Brewery, so that residual fuel would be contained.
According to Miller, construction of the containment wall would cost upward of $3 million. He says BEC is hoping to meet with all parties involved and come up with an environmental cleanup strategy that can be initiated this summer. In other news, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force has apprehended 64 Haitian migrants near the Exuma chain. According to Defense Force officials, this latest group of migrants is expected to arrive in the capital later today. The group was intercepted around 10 a.m. in a sloop off the northern tip of Long Rock Key. The 54 men and 7 women were found without proper documentation to enter the country. This is the second group of migrants apprehended near the Exuma chain in the past week. 128 Haitian migrants were picked up last Saturday.